I flunked out of engineering big time.
On the sales side, it's very, very clear. तू रोज क्या कर रहा है? आज क्या कर रहा है?
I think at that point what just kept me going every day was, what will I learn new today?
Don't worry about all of this social capital bullshit, right? Go and solve somebody's problem.
1/3 of our lives अपन काम करते हैं. उस 1/3 का outcome legendary होना चाहिए.
I have understood one thing very clear. We are more complicated in our mind and in our hearts. Real जिंदगी इतनी complicated है ही नहीं.
Mic test 1, 2, 3. Welcome everyone. It is so awesome to have all of you here. I know people have come from literally Delhi, Varanasi, right? I see Growthexer 1 to Growthexer 8 here. It's insane. 9, right? But it is so amazing. I mean, we have only ever met on Zoom, right? Only ever met on Zoom, and this is not like one cohort. It's like across cohorts. I can't tell you, like, this feels very surreal. Very, very surreal. Thank you so much for making this the most impactful community ever. The way we wanted to do today's discussion, like you see, right? Manch beech mein kyun hai, right? Randomly beech mein kyun hai? We did not want to do a theatrical style where we are coming and talking and there's like a Q&A session. Fuck that. What we wanted to do is talk about stories, and everyone over here has something to share. And that's why we're going to talk about it, set the tone, really, and then open it up to you and your stories. No Q&A today, no articulation. Although there might be some bonus points for it, right? All right, let's get started.
Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder.
One of the interesting things that Yudi and I was discussing last week was why we never discuss, apart from our close friends, about our careers, right? We want you to feel that this is the place where you can speak about absolutely anything. Because what Growthex is today is because we have made sure, and all of you have made sure, that this is the safest place to talk any jack shit. You could do anything here, and it will still be nourished, right? You still be appreciated, and you still will be incentivized for good behavior. So what we're going to cover today is a lot about, and Yudi will talk about the stories that we have and some of the interesting stories that we're going to talk about. I definitely want you to think of your next decade and how you definitely want to, okay, I'm not going to use the upskill word because I think it's been used a lot of time. How would you want to accelerate your companies and your careers? And we're going to spend the first 15 odd minutes into just going through panelists and trying to understand some of the interesting stories, and I'm sure you'll find them a lot more interesting, and I mean it. And then we're going to open up to audiences, and we're going to make this a Sunday class. That's what we're doing, right? It's just that we don't need articulation today. You can be as raw as you want to be, and there is no 30-second timer to ask questions. There are no questions. I think
No Slido.
Yeah, exactly. No Slido. Yeah. You will not find these kind of people anywhere that you go. The sole reason is they have gone through the exact same experience. Trust me, they have a lot in common that you can think. Once you get into your rooms, you'll soon realize that, and we'll talk to them. But I think today's conversation is mostly going to focus on how we bring out these stories with you and also learn in the process. Because trust me, nobody has figured it out.
Yeah, man. I think we would be shitting you if we'd said that this is what's going to happen in the next 10 years. Seriously, there should be Baba Gyani saying that 10 saal mein this is going to happen, right? But the idea was that what has helped us come till now here, maybe it's parents' backgrounds, maybe it's something our friends told us. The learnings that we have had in the last 10 years, that will help us build hypothesis, if I may. That data will help us build hypothesis of how the next 10 years are going to be. One more thing, throughout this conversation, if you agree, relate, or want to just, appreciate what has been spoken, I want you to do this. Can everyone do this with me? Awesome. Right? We're going to appreciate or support. If you can be the most one person, that's also fine. The context has been set. Let's start. I'm going to start off with the person most of you folks, at least in GS 8 and 7 will know, right? The guy on Slack with a very funny display picture. Any guesses? Exactly. We're going to start off with Mr. Jamith. Mr. Jamith, I mean, I can introduce you in the most phenomenal way. You've had a brilliant career span. I have rarely seen someone going from on-ground sales to becoming the CMO of Aditya Birla. So great job there. Very jealous, to be honest. But apart from that, Jamit, if I have to ask you, right, the most intense, pivotal 6 months of your career, what would that be?
Easily the first 6 months on my job, fresh out of B school, directly in rural sales, Gujarat, selling Odomas, Odopic, Balsara Hygiene Kit, toothpaste. I don't know anybody knows Babool, Promise.
Yes.
सब क्लैक कर रहे, कोई खरीदता नहीं था.
I never saw that brand integration coming into this.
That was the most craziest intense. As a management training, you're put in charge of half of all these guys who were chhatte badmash sales guys, who are easily 2x your age, and you're the boss, and they are supposed to teach you sales and rural sales, and it was crazy. So अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि चेक कैसे उठाना, बाउंस क्या करना, कौन सा माल डंपिंग करना, कौन सा माल ठोकना, कौन सा माल किधर देखना, प्राइमरी सेल्स क्या है, सेकेंडरी सेल्स क्या है, टर्शियरी सेल्स हुआ कि नहीं, DSR भरना, कुरियर में डालना, ब्रीफकेस में फॉर्म्स रखना. यू मे बी अलाउड सेकेंड AC फेयर एंड यू मे बी अलाउड अ सर्टन अमाउंट ऑफ मनी टू स्टे, बट रूरल गुजरात में सिंपल बस सर्विस होती थी. And I used to carry a chadar, not to put on myself, but to put on the bed and sleep. Because believe me, 200 रुपए में अच्छे rooms नहीं मिलते हैं.
Wow.
So, and it was extremely intense, and you realize सच कौन बोलता है, झूठ कौन बोलता है. Basically सच कोई नहीं बोलता है. और कैसे DSRs, daily sales reports लिखते हैं, all that. It was crazy, and got my head shaved. Like it was really one of the most intense, toughest, horrible experience of my life.
But this doesn't sound sexy at all. I mean, like, where is the glamour? You're doing all that I could hear is operations, more operations, and more shady operations, if I may.
Shady operations, but then you realize कि बिकता क्या है, और you realize कि what is the shelf life of a poster on a store. And when you sit in marketing and you say bunting बनाते हैं, हम ये poster बनाते हैं, so often people estimate कि shelf life of a poster is 2 हफ्ता 3 हफ्ता. The shelf life of a poster is very simple. तुम निकल गए, दूसरा सेल्समैन आया, उसके ऊपर तुम्हारी पोस्टर छिप गई. So you understand कि बंटिंग कहाँ होती है, जो ट्रायंगल्स जो लगाते हैं, it just doesn't get used. When you have to do this unique concept called TCPC RDP. Fuck, after 22 years I still remember it. So total call, productive call, redistribution price, total sales. When you have to do total calls of 60-70 a day, घंटा तुम उधर पोस्टर चिपकाते बैठोगे, बंटिंग लगाओगे, ये also marketing can go take a flying.
Amazing. I would have never thought someone who has a career that can be envious by anyone in this room. His learning stuck in the first 6 months of his career and purely operations and purely on ground rigorous sales.
Consumer insight मिलती है. Consumer insight मिलती है. When you want to sell toothbrush, I'll give this like my favorite one. Toothbrush I'm selling to rural farmer. The guy opens the toothbrush in front of my eyes from that PO pack that we all do and takes his thumb and he's putting it on the brush before he's buying and he's saying, "Kadak chen hai." And I'm like, you just destroyed my toothbrush, man. So ये insight आपको नहीं मिलेगी. वो आप इधर वो बबूल पैसे वसूल बोलते हो, but on the ground it's very different.
You currently lead like a very large team, right? What are few of those grunt works with Babool and doing that on ground rural sales still help you, like literally help you last week?
On the sales side, it's very clear. तू रोज क्या कर रहा है, आज क्या कर रहा है. So in the good old days we used to have those forms and we used to get ad gel pen का 10 रुपया as allowance. Today we have a lead management system which does geo tracking, and I'll just give you a perspective. The first thing which I came in my current role, we introduced an LMS and rigorous follow up of LMS कि तू रोज क्या कर रहा है and किसको मिल रहा है. and productivity in 2 years has gone up 3x. Just same shit. What do you bring to the table every day? And if you remember that, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in sales, or whether you're in growth, एक ही है.
PMs, are you listening?
Amazing, amazing. All right, cool. How many of you have transitioned in your careers here? All right, I'm gonna jump into the next person now. This person caught my eye in the first time I interacted with her. Kanika here sitting next to us is someone who was like, you know what struck me? What struck me was this person does not give a fuck. She'll say whatever she wants if she feels and believes that's true. Mostly I want to talk to Kanika about her journey about transitioning. Kanika, can you tell us in like the next 10 seconds how many roles have you transitioned?
5.
All right. Wow, 10 seconds. See, I told you, right? She doesn't give a fuck. All right. Can you walk us through very quickly what were those roles?
An intern to the CEO at Morgan Stanley, an investment banker, a co-founder, a student at ISP, a program manager at Castle, chief of staff at Chajbi.
Not much. That doesn't sound much at all. It's like,
Only 10 years of my career.
Only 10 years of your career. Amazing, right? Tell me something across all of the times that you have transitioned, right? Tell me what is the one thing that you've told yourself that this is fine, I can do it.
I think it's never that one thing you tell yourself, but it's probably 2 or 3 things. One thing is, I can do this. I've never had when I left a stable job and co-founded a venture when I was 23 and my entire family was not supportive, somewhere I believed I want to do this. Second thing is, what is the worst that will happen? I will fail. That's fine. I'll learn something. And the third thing is, it will teach me and it will add to my overall experience. I think I've just believed that this is somewhere adding. This is a summation that will take me somewhere, and I've just taken risk and made change.
Tell me something. You mentioned part about like if there was not that much support or the lack of any support. And how old were you?
23.
Wow.
Don't
Okay.
ask me how many years ago that was.
But like, tell me what made you like say, no, you know what, fuck this. I'm still gonna do this.
I just felt that I have an opportunity to try. And I really believe that I want to build a customer-centric brand, and that was the time. We built an online portal for women to resell shoes, bags, accessories. So that time the market was not right. But I was just so excited by learning, right? I learned how to build a platform. I was a delivery boy or girl, did operations in customer service. I think at that point what just kept me going every day was, what will I learn new today?
Was there any economical pressure on you?
No, there was no economical pressure, but I just believe that I want to challenge myself, and I want to find my own path. I still feel that. I mean, I don't want to go the conventional path. I want something that just inspires me every day, and I think my role that I do today, I feel that every day. I wait for Monday.
Wow, that's
I know.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I think just finding that passion in your belly, right? Like, it's the way I talk to people, it's the way I spoke about my business, it's the way I explained people what I did, even though there was no backing. I pretty much knew we were not up for success, we were up for failure. But that passion in my stomach, and that's what even today, people don't remember whatever I did in the middle, but you ran something that was closet at it because you had some passion in your eyes.
Awesome. I'm going to jump to this factor about risk. I really want to talk about risk. Abhishek, can you tell me something about risk for you? AP is a panelist today, by the way.
So awkward, right? I have an interesting incident, right? I don't have stories, but I think I still remember I was at Socrati 2017, right? 5 years. Freaking 5 years now.
Yeah.
I was on the staircase between the first and second floor. I don't know why I'm telling you these nuances, doesn't matter. I had 3 offers, one to Gurgaon, one to, of course, again Pune, and then Bangalore, right? And the Bangalore was not interesting. I go to UD and I ask him, what's the worst would happen with me? He's like, you will exactly stand here where you're standing. That's the worst that's going to happen to you. And I think that one risk has essentially changed the ballgame for me. But I don't attribute all of that to that risk. I think that was just one that worked out. I think there are hundreds of others that didn't work out, right? Getting out of college and freaking not doing a very interesting mechanical engineering job. I'm a mechanical engineer, if you don't know, right? And essentially doing nothing for next 1.5 years and figuring it out.
What was your first job?
R&D engineer at Mahindra.
Did you do
Basically,
any?
you are not doing anything.
Okay.
That's the thing. Right? So you basically get a design from out of India. You essentially say that, oh, what's BS4, BS3, and you just apply to it. And that's a fresh design. You have a new car. So I think what has ended up happening with Risk is I've changed 9 jobs. There are only 4 on LinkedIn, right? I'll quickly tell you. I'll quickly tell you which ones. Mahindra. I worked at Accenture. Watched all Marvel movies, all Harry Potters. Okay. Third, I worked at a outdoor hoardings company. Can you imagine? I wanted to really understand how that works out. One of the interesting thing, I used to run an advertising agency right out of college. Hard reality for my parents. My dad is a principal, ex-principal of an engineering college, okay? So yeah, now you know the teaching. But interestingly, I have put up no parking boards in Pune's gullies. Can you imagine that? Now, if you were to think about that place, and if you, like, that was just wrong strategy, right? But that was a risk. So, like, we don't glorify risk in general, is what I'm saying. The risk could also be not calculated. I think it's also about why are you taking that risk? And I think the regret minimization framework, right? Like, what's the worst that's going to happen with me and where I'm going to land up after all this? I think that has absolutely nailed it for me.
So if you ever want to like jump ship, just ask yourself that question and just jump ship. Basically, that's what
Or just give me a call. I'll tell you to quit.
Yeah. I'm gonna transition to the demo day winner here. Can everyone give it up? All right. I guess that's what happens. A benefit for you just right after demo day finals.
How lucky you are. How does it feel right now?
Yeah.
Very overwhelming.
He doesn't need a mic, damn it. All right.
बोलते जा.
Yeah, just keep speaking, Swami. It's just like the most mellow. You, Adar, should have a podcast and we will pay for it, right? Very interesting things, by the way. When I spoke to Swami, and I don't know if you've ever read his introduction, by the way, go back, read his damn introduction on Slack, okay? That is the first time it caught my eye about him. One thing that I saw, this guy, is that he's obviously transitioned. He's obviously also taken risk. Can you walk us through those 3 roles that you transitioned, Swami?
First up, thanks UDAP for the opportunity to be here.
Swami, too formal. Too formal.
No more. You're not at ABNB's offsite, right?
No, there's only drinking there.
Only drinking.
There's only drinking there.
Yeah, so I'll quickly walk through that. मैं रायपुर से हूँ. I went to Kota, did my engineering education, got into NIT Surathkal. पहला point of pivot was placement लेनी है कि civil services prepare करने जाना है. Out of a 2-month corporate internship, which was very boring, मैं DPR reports बनाता था बैठ के. I decided कि यार ये corporate दुनिया है, वो naivety मेरे दिमाग में बैठ गया, and then I went कि नहीं, my dad does a stellar job, he's a civil servant. So I want to go, foregone placement, and went to civil services preparation in Delhi. Took 3 years, then drew the line. The second pivot, UD, is after 3 years of realizing what limitations of those exams are.
By the way, tell me why the hell would you want to put yourself through 3 years of that? Real, genuine question. I used to always be puzzled, by the way. There's something that I've seen specifically in tier 2, tier 3 cities where people are very attracted towards UPSC, etc. exams, right? For me, a privileged brat, is to be like, why? Itna effort, kaun le raha hai? And that too becoming that, I had no attraction to it. Why? Why did you want to do it?
Great question. At a surface level, see, what got me in, the hook was my father's life and just the privilege of serving, the impact that he was making.
Can you tell us what your father does for everyone's context?
He is into state civil services. So right now he is head of municipal corporation at Raipur, takes care of water supply, sanitation, roads and so on in that city. And we would go around Raipur in his car and he'd be like, ये मैंने बनाया है, ये अपन ने किया है, ये हमारी टीम ने किया है, you know, यहाँ माल टूटा हुआ है, ये कल बन जाएगा and all that, right? So that just, you know, that whole journey got into me, and that was the hook, right? That was the trigger. What kept me going is a very different thing, right? So perks of government life and getting, you know, to do that as a privilege is something that can draw you in, but what kept me going was I realized कि अपन 1/3 of our lives अपन काम करते हैं. We spend those hours, day in day out on that. उस 1/3 का outcome legendary होना चाहिए. मतलब उस 1/3 अगर मैं किसी चीज़ को दे रहा हूँ तो वो अच्छा होना चाहिए अगर मैं वो दे रहा हूँ, right? So that.
Amazing. I have a quick question around that. Anyone can take a guess. He transitioned to an MBA, by the way, after that. We'll come to that. Very interesting. But what MBA did Swami do? Okay, I mean, apart from his team, okay? God damn, isn't this obvious? All right, anyone wants to take a guess? Just bunch of sore losers. Like just going and checking his. Yes, he did HR. Would anyone guess Swami becoming an HR? Again, in his introduction also is written, right? I feel like this attraction towards administration is just insane of yours. Like that pull that you have to create impact. Tell me something, how did you land up as a marketing leader right now?
When the time came to pivot out of Delhi and go into this thing, frankly, I did HR because XLRI HR was my only MBA. It was very simplest decision to make. एक ही call है भाई.
Beggars can't be choosers.
But at the end of MBA, when I looked back, and that's when I realized तब मेरा वो naivety खत्म हो गया. The corporate job is not a desk job. I mean, there are companies and firms and people going out there doing brilliant shit for the world, and you can be that person too. So वो dream intact रखते हैं, social जो भी करना है, positive impact करना है, उसको intact रखते हैं और कोई और तरीका निकाल. फिर मैंने अपने अंदर देखा यार मैं हमेशा टेक फेस्ट वगैरह मैनेज करता हूँ, इवेंट मैनेज करता हूँ, एडोब फोटोशॉप करता हूँ, इलस्ट्रेशन करता हूँ, आफ्टर इफेक्ट्स करता हूँ, तो मेरे को है ये मेरे को मजा आता है करने में. बस मुझे हमेशा ये लगता था कि एक ग्राफिक डिजाइनर कभी दुनिया नहीं बदल सकता. वो मेरा अगेन एक नाइव ओपिनियन था. देन व्हेन आई डिड द MBA, द माइंड ओपनड अप एंड आई रियलाइज कि कर सकता है ब्रो, like design can really change the world, right? And a marketing guy can. So you are into leadership, you've been doing events, managing teams, you're into creativity. Choose this path. Trust, take a leap of faith.
Amazing. I want to touch upon a slightly touchy topic, which is how much we underestimate our influence of our parents, siblings, brothers, sisters in the career decision making. Okay? I can tell you mine. My father's a businessman. I've always wanted to build a business. Always. Looked at him. I knew that he would spend 12 hours every single day, at least just hustling. Another 4 hours taking calls all day. Never ever saw my father on a single Sunday, 31st, 25th, none of that. Ever. I used to be angry at my father, like, not even spend time with my mom, etc. The older I got, I started to understand all of this, the struggle that he went through, and that's influenced me. Swami, like he said, his father over here. Abhishek, is there any doubt like why Abhishek is like this? His father is the principal of an engineering college. Right? I mean, you can't...
Comes naturally.
Yes.
I make no effort.
Yes. Kanika, can you tell me where do you get your attitude from?
Elaborate.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry, Kanika's...
Hold on. Did you ever imagine you'll get this question here?
I'm open for any question, that's fine.
No, it's not Kanika's attitude, I think it's Kanika's mindset. I think that's the right choice of words.
So I think I'll have to give some context, why you do saying that I just say anything and I don't give a fuck about what the other person says. This is second class after GrowthX. And I sent in this long paragraph on Slack. I'm like, okay, you did a good job, but this is such a shitty class. I didn't like this. What are you going to do better next time? I completely agree that you are at the end summation of your experiences, your upbringing, what you see around you, what conditions you. In my current role, where I work as a thinking partner to the CEO and co-founder at ChargePay, that confidence, when I go into the room and I make a recommendation, it definitely stems from that strong belief that I can. And because I go with that confidence, he's 99% obliged to say, okay, maybe you're right. But I think it definitely comes from my family. Not wanted to make it sound like an Oscar speech, but I think very young on, my parents, my dad is also a businessman, so I've seen him hustle through and through. My mother, very, very competitive, very, very outgoing, and very, very big achiever in her life. At a very young age, they told me about this woman called Indra Nui. I don't even know. I'm probably 7 or 8, and it's like, just keep her in mind. So I think it's that cultivation, because as that little girl, I just believed if she can, then why can't I? And I think that cultivation, therefore, is in conversations you have, how you carry yourself, and I think how you take yourself to work every day.
They form our tribe, whether you know it or not. Jamit, I want to know, is this an experience for you or do you have a contradictory point of view for this?
Controversial opinion. Yes, of course, parents, siblings, everybody plays a role, and there's like the whole Freudian thing कि तुम बचपन में जो भी है it shapes your life. I don't think so. I think it's तुमको कितनी लात मिलती है पिछवाड़े पे, तुम इसका क्या करते हो? It's fairly simple to that.
Jaimit's name should be धंधे की बात.
Jamit Urf.
धंधे की बात. Like my father-in-law once told me कि गलती करो 100 गलतियाँ करो बार-बार गलतियाँ करो लेकिन एक गलती 2 बार मत करो. So it's you'll do shit in life and you'll get kicked and you'll get slapped. But if you get kicked and slapped once, you should just make a resolution कि दूसरी बार नहीं होना चाहिए. दूसरी बार हुआ तो तुम थोड़े से चू हो और तीसरी बार कर रहे हो तो तुम हो. तुम ये take this as a part of your life. तो उसमें क्या रोना?
Right.
But you can't if you keep saying कि I'll improve, दूसरी बार नहीं लगनी चाहिए. 99% of the time you'll go through life and you'll end up in a very very positive space.
Jamit, tell me something. I know that you have also like you have this like itch, you know, every 3 years कुछ तो नया करना है. So the main thing that I want to talk about, Jamit, is what is the dual-edged sword of this attitude? Is there a dual-edged sword first, and if there is, what it is?
See, everything has a risk. Not taking risk is a big risk. तुम बैठे रहो. I would have been happy in my rural sales job, become an ASM, district manager, फिर sales head. खुद तो बनता था और अच्छे sales करता था. Maybe I would have been probably richer, better, faster, whatever. For me, it is very, very, very clear. कुछ नया. मैं बोर होता हूँ. I think my bosses know it, my peers know it, my juniors know it. If you come with the same solution after 1 year, I've already done it. Let's push the bar, let's do something new, let's do something new. Hey, risk is very clear that you'll do something new, you'll fall flat on your face, you'll change your jobs. I think I was just counting while you were saying, मैंने भी life में 25 years में 12 jobs बदले हैं. Always do something new. Because if you look back in the mirror or you look back and go to sleep, कि आज, today I didn't do something new, I don't think you will grow. And if you don't grow every day and if you don't have that chul to do something new every day, thoda sa problem hai. I am dead sure you will be average. The choice is yours. Average is a good life, but do you want to be that is your call. And it comes with all sorts of risks, but I think it's still worth it.
Any drawback that you have particularly experienced, Jamit?
Yeah. Interview में typically आपका interview आपका CV देख के सर, I don't think you are the kind who's going to stick around. The answer you have to give is yes. Do you want people who stick around doing boring jobs? Then you probably got the wrong guy. And if you're able to say that, and I said that to like a $1 billion CEO, and then he said, Aja, you're part of the team. So, how long will you stick around till you keep giving me new stuff? And do you want to create a company that likes people with boring stuff? Then that's not the company I want to work for.
Yeah, I agree.
I actually have a follow-up, right? And I think I have felt it. I'm not sure how many of you felt it. When you get from like an early stage to like a mid-career, right? And you're really trying to like, you have achieved it, right? You always wanted to achieve that role, that manager. Like first time you become manager, you're happy, right?
बड़ा क्यूबिकल मिलता है.
हाँ, बड़ा क्यूबिकल मिलता है.
स्टील का डस्टबिन मिलता है. सबको प्लास्टिक के मिलता है, आपको स्टील का मिलता है. कप में चाय आके आती है.
चेयर अच्छा मिलता है.
चेयर में वो हेडरेस्ट मिलता है.
Right? Whenever we become like first time managers, we become second time managers, we get into a leadership position, right? We stop. Or I will say stall. And I think this question is for everyone, and especially the panelists, right? A lot of time when you always wanted something, because in the past that was the dream, but in the present that's like like Kanikas already laughing. She's like, yeah, this happened with me. I think it happened with a lot of us, right? Which is that dream is no more dream. It is mediocre. How do you really get to that past dream and keep evolving your career or companies that you work on, right?
I don't know. I have like a slightly different take on this. If I have to articulate the question. That was a very long question. Right? If I have to really articulate the question, I'm sorry. I think I just heard someone saying we're going to get a Tinder analogy right now.
Datex is back.
Datex.
That's a dirty question.
My take is that I am the kind of person with the mindset that I want to make a dent in this world, no matter what. Like Swami said, he had impact. I said, I want to create impact. I want to build a dent. For that, I just cannot state whether I am, let's say I am like an executive, I am a manager, I'm an associate director, I'm a CEO. I don't know what ahead. I want to still make a more dent. I don't care, right? But then there's a second part of audience which feels like this is something that will give me income and I want stable income and that's it. And I want to focus a little bit more with my family. And I believe there's nothing, and I truly believe there's nothing wrong with it. It actually has maybe a better life, to be honest with you, right? But it's just, I don't think mentally I will be happy. The other thing I have seen, at least for my experience, has been that whenever I've done this specifically, it's made the people around me also rise up better. My peers, my sisters, my brothers, they have also seen me grow and they have caught on. It's rubbed off them. So it's not just me who's growing. I've also seen them growing. That influence happens. I want to get fit. I'll tell 100 people, get fit. It's just so infectious. And that's the reason why we are all here, right? That rubbing off thing, you can't put it to words. Are you going to say articulate your answer?
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I think that when you get into a new company or a new set of people professionally, not personally, professionally, you're always slightly nervous, right? Always. How much ever leader you are, how much ever early stage you are, doesn't matter. Like CMO shit in their pants, right? When they get in new companies, because they don't know half of the org, right? Heads of growth, chief of product. Most of us are alone in our journeys, right? And most of all, you'll not get this kind of diverse set. I think that has retrospectively worked out for me because I always thought these are the smart people and then get out of that company and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Correct. And this is, by the way, last 10 years. What I can tell you is that there was no script. There's no playbook to career. I can't bet next 10 years, do step 1, framework 2, framework 3, look at dating analogy. No. None of that's going to happen.
Capstone का handbook नहीं है.
Capstone का handbook नहीं है, right? If you told someone 20 years back that you want to be a chef, by the way, they would laugh at you. And not laugh at you because you're not making money. That is so obviously, even socially, like, bawarchi, right? And today, if you're a damn chef, I mean, I don't have to tell you, right? You can just set up restaurants, whatever. But the frameworks, at least that I am getting, and we've all, and I'm going to open it up now, by the way, to all of you people to talk about your stories, right? Is there is no script. Always take risk. Have the right mindset. Try to create impact. Finding your tribe. I think those are the key themes at least I could come off with.
Should go to audience.
Yeah, we should definitely go to audience. So, by the way, anyone who has any interesting story about their career, anyone, absolutely.
I was in MBA. So pre-MBA, I was like in that now BCPT IT level group. So I said, okay, chalo, let me at least reach out to my international school. So I was studying in ESC. I said, chalo, let me just reach out to islands and see what happens. And I created a strategy. I created my website. I put everything I did in my internship, like explained the help in the website, and I started reaching out. So I put myself out there with founders. I pretty much I started reaching out to CEOs in Singapore, Germany, Australia, Canada, and also Europe. Once I did that, I ended up getting almost very horrible conversion rates, by the way. But I ended up converting 3 offers. One in a European company, one where I'm currently working. And one insight particularly there was, if I didn't choose to put myself out there, I would be placed Pampagula, and I would have gone through that whole pressure tension. But when I sat for placement, I just sat because the whole batch does not think I'm a Jew. I'll get a good placement and they'll think,
Amazing.
I have a question for the panel though. So, career pay, there's also the effect of social capital, right? I am listening to you folks because you have certain social capital and I feel you are...
I've lost some of my hair doing it, yeah.
Career growth में वो social capital कैसे build करते हैं?
When you say social capital, are you saying that if you say something, how will people perceive it? Or you want people to take action? Or is it some different question only and I'm understanding it incorrectly? Alag question. Okay, what's the question? I am super...
Articulate your question.
Ask her pele questions.
So for example, like you said, Yuri told that you rub off, right? So a lot of his siblings rubbed off based on because of his journey. So Abhi, now if for example, I want to also be within that community. Abhi GrowthX hai and TCAP. But even within GrowthX, there are like sub-communities, right? There are sub-circles. Like how do I not make an impression? It's very cheap, like in a, but and वो level पे नहीं. But what do you do?
समझ रहे हो? Chronology समझ रहे हो? GrowthX की है. वैसे impression नहीं, चिंदी नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ और पर इधर चाहिए.
No, I think I get your question. I'm understanding your question a little bit better.
Intention क्या होना चाहिए? So if I were to talk to Jaymin, which I already did by the way, but if I were to talk to Jaymin, what should be my approach for that conversation, right? I'm not trying to impress him. I'm not trying to get something out of him, but it's more of I just want to know more about it.
I think I am gonna take an analogy what Jayant actually told me about a few days back, and I'm gonna take your own insight. You know that you had that insight that you were studying in the IT job, and but you put yourself out there. Something struck, and Jayant told me that do enough wrong things so that at least one thing will strike. He said it in a much nicer line, obviously. But it is about being wrong all the time. Try to impress him. Jayant will be like, kya hai ye? But enough Jayants. And I think that's the way, putting yourself out there. I think, at least for me, by the way, that was my insight. The first time I put myself out there on LinkedIn, I got a comment saying that this is bullshit. That was the comment. That's it. That's it, man. I had written on conversion rate optimization. Come. And he's like, this is bullshit.
The post had bad conversion rates.
Yeah. He's just like, but like, you're getting the point, right?
वो सेल्स में हम लोग बोलते थे जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. बाकी फिन में हम लोग बोलते हैं बात करने से बात बनती है.
Don't worry about all of this social capital bullshit, right? And LinkedIn will go away in few years and something else will come, right? Go and solve somebody's problem. I'll give you an example what I did. When I said I had a shitty job offer in Bangalore, I wrote to almost every seed stage founder on Angel List in Bangalore, and I had 4 consulting offers in parallel. And I literally wrote them. I wrote somebody who used to run an online furniture company, we all know. I wrote to them and said that, hey, I'm going to solve your LTV problem. I wrote to somebody else and said that I'm going to just solve your CAC problem, right? And you go and understand that business rather than sending, you said horrible conversion rates, pick 4. Do like a PhD on the 4 company. And I bet you that they will reply to you.
Right. Anyone wants to talk about their life, any career story that they want to share, anything about finding your tribe?
I come from a very typical Indian mindset of doing engineering, getting into an IIT, right? So did my coaching, of course tried for an IT, didn't succeed, got a decent score for JEE mains, and went into a decent NIT, but got a biotech branch. But at that point of time, I passed out in 2017, 2013 ke time pe jab when you admit, right, you don't really know what is it you want to do. I had no idea what is it I want to do. The only thing I knew that I want to study and I want to become an engineer. That's it. And I saw that, even in the final year when you're sitting for placements, now NIT of course, a lot of good companies were coming. Biotech ke liye koi opening nahi hai, right? So there were openings in companies like ZS or any analytics firm. बट उसमें सब बैठते हैं. अब उतने अच्छे हम हैं नहीं कि क्या कहते हैं कि उसमें भी हम compete करके फर्स्ट आ जाए, राइट? सो डिडंट गेट एनी जॉब प्लेसमेंट व्हेन आई वाज इन कॉलेज. ठीक है, सबके पास जॉब थी, फ्रेंड्स के पास, एंड देन केम बैक टू माई होम एंड विदाउट एनी जॉब, एंड एवरीवन's gonna join a company in 2 months, 3 months and enjoying their break after college, and I am like, अब मैं क्या करूँ? What is it that I am supposed to do now? For me personally, it's the bhook that you have to do something in your life, and you then make sure that you leverage everything you have. मेरे को लगता है आज तो people have too many things to leverage on in terms of the communities out there or social media. उस टाइम मेरे पास कुछ नहीं था. LinkedIn तो कुछ होता ही नहीं था उस टाइम पे. So for me, the only thing that I had was Facebook groups, emails of people that I could get, and I reached out massively with every personalized message that I could. कि ये मेरा background है, मैंने college में ये किया है in terms of activities, and this is what I can contribute. And you won't believe, my first interview got scheduled because of a Facebook group that I joined, an analytics group, and I posted my resume and my profile there, and an HR reached out to me. And it was like a wonderful offer. I got the same kind of salary that every of my colleague, like batchmate got, and I joined even before them, the company. I think my career has not been very traditional, right? I think I've jumped roles as well, grown a lot, in just 4.5 years of my career. But I think the only thing that has always been with me is the who to keep on growing, to keep on becoming the best you are, in the field that you are. And yeah, this is what I think I'll carry forward wherever I go.
The Bhook story is very interesting, and everyone has a backstory. Maybe we can talk about it while drinking, on where the Bhook comes from.
I don't know which story will come out though.
Yeah, by miserably flunking out of engineering. I flunked out of engineering big time. And that was, yes. And I was like 2 years behind all my batch. And I'm like, Bhook.
I just want to tap on the leverage point, right? How many of you, and let me know with the snapping your fingers, how many of you rejected a referral because it was from your relative? Okay, so like your dad referred to your job, to your like friend, your elder cousin, right? I think it's the leverage that you have that we don't understand when we are early in the career. I was the most dumbass back then. I should have just told my dad, you have so many students, put me in Bangalore right in 2015 and I would have been in a different place right now. Maybe you would have been in second company right now. Right? She said leverage, right? She got leverage by like reaching out to people, but I think you already have, trust me, you know 1,000 people at this point who can help you. And you haven't reached out to the most of them in the last 6 months. So please use that leverage.
You have 120 people right here.
Like 120 people right here, right? Like, and you have like what, until Monday morning.
Yeah.
Right? So
I think, you know what amazes me is when you reach out to random people like you did, people are so helpful. Because they somewhere relate when I was at that age and when I was confused, someone helped me. So I think the only point, I want to put out there is, so now when someone comes to you, just make sure to give it back. And you'll be surprised how many people are just willing to help.
Okay, so it started off like this, right? Like I always perceived that the role is something else, and they put me into something else.
But just, like, just Okay, it's fine. Please, stay. Be as you want.
Okay. So I never liked engineering, right? And so everyone was getting placed on campus, right? I took a bus to Bangalore without having any offers. I stepped into a co-working space. They told me that we are going to offer you a product management job, right?
Really?
And it was a correct.
What am I doing in Bombay, man?
So they had like a 8 people team, right? They're like, you can join us as a product manager. Next day, I'm picking up calls as a customer support guy.
I'm happier in Bombay.
they didn't mean building products, they mean supporting.
Correct. But the offer letter said product manager, right? At a 3 lakh CTC.
Crazy. That's a crazy story. Alright.
So post that, I did that for 1 year, 7 months, and I रोज गुजरात के traders से बात करता था, right? And सब मेरे को tips देते थे, right? Everyone used to say कि Nifty इधर जाएगा, Nifty उधर जाएगा, and I almost lost all my salary in that process.
तेरा small case का ICP है.
सागर, right? इसके बाद बात करते थे.
Then I started traveling. I started to make vlogs, right? Like I used to go to remotest part of the countries because पैसा नहीं था. मैं अच्छी जगह जा नहीं सकता था, ठीक है? I used to like take my bag and go to the remotest place possible बस से. उसके बाद like I was in an exploratory phase, so I went home because I had no money. Once I went there, there was an idli shop nearby, right? So I sort of went and talked to the owner. Right? This owner said, why don't you become like a 50% investor? I was like, paisa nahi hai. He said, 6 months mein de dena. Okay? I started sort of piling up a little bit cash and I went there. So he onboarded me as an investor. Agle din idli banwa rahe. Right? So all my job roles have been like this, right?
Is that why now you started your company? Like, I don't want to believe any shit.
Yeah. Correct. उसके बाद फिर मैंने सोचा कुछ innovative सोचते हैं. तो मैंने सोचा फिर like I went back to my college. I was like, I'll solve their problem, right? I opened a printing shop, right, and started delivering notes like home delivery. And Google Form पे सब लोग अपना upload करते थे, and I used to give them on-time deliveries, right? बहुत मजा आया, right? My MRR was 10,000 rupees. Right? So one day Abid called me, right? Abid from Sensible. He told that I'll offer you a marketing role, right? I knew nothing about marketing, right? He told me marketing and I was like कि अब क्या आएगा? तो next day मैं office गया, marketing था, right? I was very happy. Right? एक साल काम किया, so he promoted me to the growth head of Sensible, right? I spoke to brilliant people across Zerodha, across Sensible. That 1 year was so pivotal. It sort of made me realize that I can do anything, right? From marketing head to the growth head, and then sort of running all operations at Sensible, given from customer support to product management, right? Everything else. I would not sort of customer support and product management. I gave up on the job and I was like, कि अब कुछ खुद का करेंगे. And then I recently opened my services company just to sort of explore which product I can build in next, right? I'm in the process of building a team. I'm in process of sort of exploring different products because I'm talking to a lot of founders these days because आपको sell करना है, right? Ultimately आपको services, right? And that is like an exploratory thing for me, even if I do not sort of win the client. In the first 6 months, I've almost reached to a 80 lakh revenue, right? Like, and it has been all sort of selling at least, delivering notes, scooties पे, printing shops पे, poster लगाना, right? All of that, what you said, right? And that actually pays off.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
it's a great journey.
We have someone there.
It's a really shitty thing to go after Sagar. बहुत हंसाया यार तुमने तो यार, मतलब मेरे को भी ऐसे expectations बहुत बढ़ गई है यहाँ पे. I don't want to talk about me or a story about me. I actually want to speak about UD. People who were in GX4 or GX5, you would have known that I wrote a blog series about doing Datex. It was called The Startup Life. And that idea had come from UD. I remember having this conversation with him where he's like, "Yaar, you have to make sure that if somebody gets X out of GrowthX, you get 3X out of it. And the best way to do it is to write." And I was not very comfortable with writing. I could write, but I was not very comfortable. And this is one thing that stayed with me throughout. UD said, we have to find a thing that makes you uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, you're not doing enough. And you should always be uncomfortable, whether it's your new role, whether it is something that you're trying to do, explore and all of that. So that is like a big kudos to UD for teaching me that how to be comfortable about being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Thanks, UD.
Thank you. It's something I picked up from like sports, like or like gym building. You gotta get in an uncomfortable place, and only then you grow. Right now, that's legal for me, by the way. Yeah, that's like yeah.
So I was thinking where I should start all of this from, but I think a good place to start would be UD's college. I think you're also from MIT.
Yes.
Yes, and you look down about it, right? So there is a story there, right? And something I have always wanted to talk to you in person, but I think a great place to share about my story here about that same thing. Right, so
that's when I thought it will go great, and then it's been shit.
Yeah,
this one is talking about MIT.
This one is not about a lot of
you should
jokes.
clarify them.
Yeah. Oh, the Maharashtra Institute of Technology.
I think half of the room didn't get the joke.
Oh shit! Yes. वो वाली नहीं है. Yes. Shit, I forgot the ICP I'm dealing with. So I didn't really know what I really need to do, but I figured out, okay, engineering it is, everybody seems to be doing it, and it wasn't working out. And one of the most difficult decisions I had to make was to quit. And every time I told my parents that, hey, I'm thinking of quitting, they'd be like, nahi beta, kar le yaar, 3 mahina aur backlogs kar le. Like, it was so much like my parents would be like, tu backlogs clear kar. I realized that that's not going to work out. Took all the money I had, which wasn't much, about 10,000 or something, and ended up going to Bhutan. Came back when all the money ran out, and by then I had figured out that, hey, maybe quitting is the thing. And what I told my parents was that, hey, I have quit. So this subtle difference of thinking of quitting and I have done it, I think that was one of the biggest lessons that life kind of told me, that conviction. A lot of you have spoken about confidence, a lot of you have spoken about having that courage to kind of do things which are risky. Didn't know what to do, made a Google sheet, listed out all the possible places through references, and I was shameless. I was like, I'll do anything that I need to do. Got rejected out of a call center. Yes, that happened. There were 2 options. One was, I don't know if you know, if you go to any dealership or any shop, mainly there's a gada रहता है. So गाड़े के पीछे, you know, there's a guy who will be standing and will say आपको क्या चाहिए. That was the kind of job that was one option, and the other was at a real estate firm. I did not know what the job was. The thing the person said is, yeah, you know what, you can come and I'll give you a job. So I ended up joining that. I was like, you know, maybe there's something there. I had to threaten that person that, hey, you've been saying yes to me, but मैं Monday को आ रहा हूँ, हाँ या नहीं. He's like, yeah, Aja. So I wore the best clothes I possibly had. Ended up going there, working there for a month, not knowing what my role was, but doing anything and absolutely everything that person did. And this was a real estate firm. So when I say anything and everything, there was a lot of shady stuff that happened. And I was like, you know what, career ka kuch banana hai. I'll fucking keep my ego, keep my morals for as much as I can aside and do what I need to do to make a career out of this. It was after a month I got a salary slip. It was written executive assistant to director sales, and I saw that and something happened to me. I almost broke down. I went to a loo, I shut myself in, and I was thinking, hey man, is this what life has come to? Is this it? Like I'm somebody's assistant? Like all the ambitions, all my hopes, is this what it has come to? And I realized that that's the worst life can kind of throw at me. Fast forward, I think in 5 years in that company, I ended up heading their Dubai branch and the Middle East P&L. Ended up coming back to India and handling their Mumbai P&L as well. Realized, thankfully, that real estate, you know, isn't. By the way, before this, I had done some work at an NGO, so paap thode saaf kar diye the. So I kind of knew that this was the right time to get out. Went to Bangalore. I knew, you know, the startup scene was calling out to me. I didn't know jack shit. I still feel I don't. I ended up going there. Almost lost a lot of money that I ended up making there, investing it in a startup. Ended up selling it a month before COVID happened. And I think it kind of gives you a sense of energy and hope that, you know that you come what may, you will kind of make it work. And now where I am, right? I'm heading a team. I'm again working in a startup. And you said, right, this is this whole thing about managers. Like you start off as an executive, you get that thing. Now this first time, there's a title of a director against my name. And it feels very weird. I don't feel anything like that. And the charm kind of goes away. The real charm for yourself goes away. But what remains is that knowing that, hey, you know what, somewhere inside I'm still that kid looking at myself in that bathroom with that, you know, salary slip, and I'm like, fuck. And I always feel that, you know, that if you kind of keep that baseline, a lot becomes a lot more easy for us to, yeah, that's my story.
So I come from a very lower middle class family, small village. तो जब होता है क्या ना, जब आप इतने छोटे घर से आते हो ना, like when your parents are not engineer, not IS officers, principal, उनके पास ज़्यादा कुछ बांटने के लिए होता नहीं है.
Thank you Manoj. That's all for Manoj.
So मतलब वो आपको ये बता नहीं सकते. They can't tell you कि now you do this, now you do that. तो तब क्या होता है, फिर डायलॉग मारते हैं वो. So जैसे if I go to my mother, मम्मी को बाइक चाहिए, अब की पुरानी हो जाएगी तब दिलाएंगे. मुझे कब तक वेट करना है? तो ये क्या है? अब इफ़ आई स्टार्ट टेकिंग कोई जॉब का बात करूँगा ना, मम्मी बहुत मुश्किल है यार, ये कैसे होगा, और तू पहला है क्या? नहीं. तो फिर मतलब व्हेन योर पेरेंट्स, उनको जब कुछ नहीं होता ना, वो सो इन माई फैमिली आई एम द फर्स्ट जिसने 10th क्लास पास किया. सो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड द लेवल कहाँ जा रहा है. सो आई डिड माई इंजीनियरिंग जैसे तैसे करके, मतलब बहुत ही बेसिक इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज, वेयर आई वाज द सेकंड बैच ऑफ who will be passing the college, and we had just one company coming for the campus placement, and I had a full faith of myself कि अपना बाहर तो कहीं नहीं होगा, जो करना है इसी campus placement में निकालना है. I was very मुझे पक्का था अपना बाहर कहीं नहीं होगा, और वो डायलॉग वाली बातें अपने को पक्का दिमाग में थी कि कुछ भी करके इसमें सॉर्ट आउट करना है. I still remember Patni Computers, which is now taken by Capgemini, with 3 rounds, 2007 2006, typical 3 rounds written test for GD PI. So PI was शाम को 7 बजे, and PI के लिए in the morning we started with a 200 set of candidates. In the evening we filtered to like I think 30 or 40. I was cleaning my shoes before the PI. My friend was like, जूता साफ कर रहा है. मुझे सुबह से पता था, मैं कपड़ा लेकर आया था, पागल. So coming from the middle class, ये होता है ना कि आपको ये तो पता ही है कि कैसे फोड़ना है. This was first thing. मतलब I knew in my Patni Computers का interview, one thing that will work for me, that just be yourself. You don't need to know कि सामने वाला क्या कर रहा है. आपको अपने बारे में पता होना चाहिए कि आप क्या कर सकते. That was one thing. Second thing, I think second time it happened 2016, Barclays Bank, Singapore. I got fired. मतलब that particular whole team, and it happens in bank. आप लोग स्टार्टअप के बारे में अभी भी सुन रहे होंगे, बैंक्स में बहुत सालों से चल रहा है. 2016 I was called to the director, ने बुलाया कैबिन में. Hi Manoj, happy to see you. Your job is no more required. So मेरे लिए तो मतलब उसका इंग्लिश इतना था, क्या बात कर रहा है यार ये तो and then it took me second to settle down कि he is asking me कि your services are no more required. अच्छा they gave me the pink slip मैंने कहा कि then HR का कॉल आया कितना टाइम है मतलब ऐसा लगा मरने का पूछ रहे मैं कैंडिडेट मेरे जो कलीग्स हैं कितना टाइम है तुम्हारे पास मैंने बोला आएगा HR का कॉल आएगा तुम्हारे पास 3 महीने है I went home my wife was like now what we are on Singapore on employment pass and everything तो क्या वापस जाना पड़ेगा मैंने बोला जाऊँगा तो खुद जाऊँगा किसी के कहने से नहीं जाऊँगा तो बोला करोगे क्या करोगे क्या बिकॉज यू डोंट बिकॉज आई वाज लाइक नॉर्मल L2 सपोर्ट मतलब करोगे क्या आई फिगर आउट सो माय डोमेन वाज साइबर सिक्योरिटी आई लाइक पैक्ड माई सेल्फ इनटू अ रूम फॉर 3 months किताबें उठाई जितनी साइबर सिक्योरिटी की पॉसिबल बुक्स हो सकती थी वेंट थ्रू इट क्लियर द सर्टिफिकेशन अप्लाइड बैक इन Barclays गॉट अ प्रमोशन वेंट अप टू AVP विद अ 30% हाइक So I have very one thing एक मेरे को मुझे समझ में आई है ना कमिंग फ्रॉम एक छोटा सा गांव बिलीमोरा आई एम टेलिंग यू नहीं मिलेगा नक्शे पे गूगल मत करना कमिंग फ्रॉम दैट टू सिंगापुर सिटिंग इन अ मोस्ट प्रीमियर लोकेशन मरीना बे मतलब मेरे डेस्क से मरीना बे दिखता था सिटिंग देयर आई हैव अंडरस्टूड वन थिंग वेरी क्लियर वी आर मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड इन अवर माइंड एंड इन अवर हार्ट्स रियल जिंदगी इतनी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है ही नहीं अगर मैं कर सकता हूँ ना मतलब कुछ भी नहीं आता मुझे इतना खास इफ आई कैन डू आई थिंक एनीवन कैन डू इट लाइफ इज नॉट सो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड एंड इट्स वेरी सिंपल
I think if I have to summarize careers in 10 years is all about, I think, seeing our past. I think we've heard about risk. We've heard about being uncomfortable. We've heard about putting yourself out there, trying to transition all the time, finding your stride. You might fail a lot. And finally, the tribe. Right? The tribe is also very, very pivotal. So that who will you tell all these stories if you don't have a tribe? That's how the next 10 years are going to be. I don't think it's going to be growth. I don't think there's going to be product. There might be something else. But this conversation and these frameworks will not change. I don't think so. That's changing. With that being said, let's go. Thank you so much for making a bomb of the first GrowthX town hall. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you so much for the panelists and a round of applause for everyone.
Hey folks, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it with your friends, your family and even your enemies. Why not, right? This was a very first time doing something like this. So if you have any feedbacks, any suggestions, please let us know in the comments below. We'll definitely check them out. And one last thing, by the way, if you've really watched the entire 50-minute long video and it's changed your life, please share notes. Even I haven't watched the entire 50-minute video. Like, I don't have that kind of attention span. Kudos. Thanks,